Picture this for a second. You pull your car into the driveway. It's like 6:10 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Oh, I already know exactly where this is going.
Right, so you cut the ignition, but you don't actually open the door. You just sit there in the dark, in total silence for, 15 solid minutes.
Yeah.
Through the windshield, you can see the warm lights of your house. You know your partner is exhausted. You know your kids are waiting, but your hand literally refuses to touch the door handle.
It is an incredibly visceral experience, and it's practically universal for working parents right now. Clinically, we actually refer to that as driveway decompression syndrome.
Driveway decompression syndrome. Wow.
Yeah, you are essentially sitting inside a self-constructed temporary psychological decompression chamber, and that's because your brain just cannot handle the transition from professional demands to domestic demands.
That makes so much sense. Or, well, let's look at another scenario that probably hits super close to home for you listening. It's 9:415 p.m. on a Sunday.
The danger zone.
Totally the danger zone.
Yeah.
You are standing in the hallway, completely paralyzed, just staring at Mount Laundry. We are talking 9 unsorted baskets of clothes.
Right. The physical washing is technically done.
Yeah, the washing is done, but the executive planning required to match the socks, identify which kid fits into which shirt, and sort the garments. Your brain simply refuses to compute it. You are literally frozen in the hallway.
And the mechanism behind that paralysis is actually a primal survival response. Your nervous system doesn't just see, a pile of clothes.
What does it see then?
Well, in that specific state of compounding exhaustion, it perceives the cognitive load of that laundry as an active physical threat to your safety.
Wait, really? A physical threat?
Yes. Your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for complex planning and decision-making, has just gone completely offline to protect you.
That is wild. So if you have ever felt that specific paralyzing dread, you aren't crazy. You are experiencing a systemic biological failure.
Exactly.
And today we are taking a massive stack of research looking at neurobiological stress markers, the brutal mathematics of sleep debt, and the actual operational dynamics of dual career households to basically prove that the idea of a relaxing weekend is a biological and operational myth.
It really is a myth. But more importantly, our mission for this deep dive is to transition from the sheer madness of this problem into hard operational frameworks.
Yes, we need solutions.
Right. We are moving away from the kind of generic, guilt-inducing lifestyle advice that tells you to just take a bath. We're getting into corporate-level systems like the Shift Commander and the Friday Reset that can actually, save your sanity.
I love it. So let's start with this idea that the exhaustion isn't just in your head, it is failing you on a cellular level. I was looking at the research on the cortisol awakening response, or CR.
Yeah, CR is fascinating. To understand why the weekend fails to recover your energy, we first have to look at how the body prepares for a standard workday.
Okay, lay it out for us.
So the cortisol awakening response is the normative rise in cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone, within the first 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up. Think of it as your biological alarm clock.
That sounds pretty normal, though.
It is, normally. But when researchers monitored cohorts of working mothers with young children, the data showed this severe distortion. When you combine high professional job strain with elevated parenting stress, you don't just see a normal morning rise.
What do you see instead?
You see significantly higher baseline morning cortisol levels and a dramatically steeper CRR increase on workdays.
Meaning your body is just flooding your system with stress hormones before you've even had a chance to pour your coffee.
Precisely.
But why is the body overreacting like that?
Because your biology is anticipating a gauntlet of structural barriers. It knows exactly what's coming. The rushed mornings, the uncooperative toddlers refusing to put on shoes, the complex logistics of getting everyone out the door while, simultaneously mentally drafting an email to your boss.
So you aren't just waking up, you are waking up in active survival mode.
Exactly.
Okay, the data on this next point is actually quite jarring, and I really want to make sure I understand it. The research points out a phenomenon here called discordance between the parent and the child.
Yes, discordance.
I couldn't quite wrap my head around this. If the mother and the toddler are in the same physical house, in the same kitchen, eating the exact same breakfast, how are their biological realities detaching?
It comes down to the fundamental difference between the physical environment and the cognitive environment. So on non-work days, a mother and child's morning cortisol levels exhibit high attunement.
Meaning they are biologically synced up.
Right, they're biologically synced. But on work days, because the mother is bearing the heavy cognitive demands of preparing for professional work while simultaneously managing domestic logistics, that biological synchronization is severely disrupted.
Wow.
The cortisol profiles detach entirely. The child is just experiencing breakfast. The mother is experiencing breakfast, the 9:00 a.m. status meeting, the missing left sneaker, and, the mental math of who is picking the kids up at 5:00 p.m.
That is so heavy. And over time, that chronic dysregulation and constant context switching places working parents at severe risk for clinical burnout, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So we cross the finish line into Friday night, already biologically fried. But society tells us, hey, no problem, just sleep in on Saturday. Catch up on your rest.
Right. The classic catch-up sleep myth.
But you look at the math of sleep debt in these sources, and it is horrifying.
It's mathematically impossible to fix a week of sleep deprivation with one good night. I mean, sleep debt is the cumulative difference between the 7 to 9 hours your body requires and what you actually get.
And the sources say working mothers, on average, sleep about an hour less on nights before workdays compared to their partners.
Yeah, an hour less.
Which, doesn't sound like a lot on the surface. You think, oh, I missed an hour's sleep, no big deal.
But the biological recovery timeline doesn't work like that at all. It takes approximately 4 days of high-quality, consistent sleep to recover the optimal cognitive function lost from just one single hour of accumulated sleep debt.
4 days for 1 hour.
Yes.
So trying to fix a week of sleep debt by sleeping in on a Sunday morning is basically like trying to fix a shattered phone screen with a Band-Aid.
Or trying to bail out a flooded basement with a teacup while the pipe is still actively bursting.
Oh, man, that's grim.
The biological debt, which is the physical metabolic waste in your brain, takes days of continuous high-quality sleep to clear out not just a few extra hours of hitting snooze on a Saturday.
Because the damage is structural.
Exactly. If that sleep debt becomes chronic, you are looking at up to 9 days of consistent, unrestricted sleep just to normalize the hyperreactivity of your amygdala.
And the amygdala is the brain's fear center.
Right, the fear center. You need 9 days to calm it down and restore normal connectivity in your prefrontal cortex. Furthermore, sleep restriction below 7 hours aggressively degrades your immune system.
Like how aggressively?
You become 3 times more likely to catch a cold because your antibody production is so compromised.
And actually, the idea of sleeping in on the weekend creates a completely different biological issue. The sources highlight something called social jet lag.
Yeah, when we look at the bigger picture of circadian rhythms, sleeping in on the weekend is incredibly destructive.
Why is that?
The data shows that shifting your wake time by just 60 to 90 minutes on Saturday and Sunday creates a biological fatigue on Monday morning that is equivalent to crossing 2 time zones.
So you sleep in until 8:30 a.m. on Sunday, and your body literally thinks you just flew from New York to Denver.
You are inducing jet lag without ever stepping foot on an airplane, and your metabolic resistance pays a really steep price for that.
So it's not actually helping you recover.
Not at all. Sleeping 10 hours on a Sunday does not reverse the metabolic damage of a week of 5-hour nights. The research shows that insulin sensitivity remains depressed by 30 to 40% even after 2 consecutive days of extended recovery sleep.
Okay, so we've established that the biology is completely failing. But what is triggering that biological failure? We have to look at the household structure itself.
Right, the root cause.
Because the biological exhaustion isn't just a physical deficit, it's a symptom of cognitive fragmentation. We are running our households like enterprises with zero slack capacity.
And that's becoming the norm.
Yeah, according to the sources, a record 52% of 2-parent families in the U.S. are now dual-career, full-time households.
That lack of slack capacity is the defining feature of modern parenting right now. There is no buffer for when things go wrong. And this brings us to the operational reality of the weekend.
The friction between professional obligations and domestic survival.
Exactly. It creates 3 specific operational choke points. The first is what the research calls Zone 1, the weekend shift work illusion.
The illusion, right, because the weekend isn't actually leisure time at all. It's just a lateral transfer to an unpaid domestic shift.
And we really have to examine the massive gender gap here, even in households that genuinely believe they are dividing labor equally. Mothers manage 71 to 73% of all the cognitive household labor.
Let's visualize that cognitive load for a second, because it's not just running the vacuum or doing the dishes.
No, it is the invisible mental inventory. It's remembering that the toddler needs a specific colored shirt for Spirit Week on Tuesday, noticing the laundry detergent is running low, and planning exactly when to wash that shirt so it's ready.
It's constant tracking.
Exactly. The task typology is deeply split. Mothers take on roughly 79% of the daily, ongoing, low autonomy tasks.
The things that cannot be deferred, like feeding the children, morning routines, or daily cleanup.
Right. Fathers, conversely, tend to manage episodic, high autonomy tasks, things like home repairs, yard work, or finances, which make up about 65% of their domestic contribution.
The key word there is autonomy.
Precisely. Those tasks allow for flexible execution schedules. You can fix the squeaky door on Saturday afternoon, or you can push it to Sunday morning. You cannot defer feeding a hungry toddler.
No, you definitely can't.
And the data shows that even with those episodic tasks, mothers still end up duplicating the effort 53% of the time. They are often managing the underlying logistics of the father's tasks, like actually buying the parts to fix the door.
Which leaves absolutely zero opportunity for the prefrontal cortex to ever recuperate. And this leads right into zone 2, the self-care time tax.
Oh, this one is rough.
This part of the research really made me want to scream into a pillow, because we're constantly bombarded with messaging to take some me time. But for a working parent, getting an hour to yourself requires a military-grade logistical operation.
It functions like a steep transactions tax. To get one single hour to go for a run on a Saturday morning, a parent must negotiate schedule clearance with their partner the night before.
Right.
They have to prepare meals for the kids, pack transition bags, and overcome immense societal and internal guilt.
And then, while you are on that supposedly relaxing run, your phone buzzes with a text asking where the toddler's water cup is.
Exactly. Your physical body is running, but your mind remains locked in executive tracking mode.
I have to push back hard on the cultural narrative here. If we know this system is driving us into a biological wall and our homes are functioning like zero-slack enterprises, why do we keep trying to solve it with bubble baths and generic self-care routines?
That's a great question.
Like, why aren't we treating the household like the complex logistics operation it actually is? Willpower and a bath bomb cannot override a structural deficit. If your kitchen supply chain is failing, taking a bath isn't going to fix Tuesday's dinner.
The research completely supports your frustration on this. Individual wellness hacks cannot solve systemic operational failures, which becomes glaringly obvious when we hit Zone 3, the Sunday 8:00 p.m. panic.
The Sunday scaries. 82% of working Americans suffer from this. So the shift work illusion and the self-care tax basically collide on Sunday night.
Yeah, the exact moment the kids fall asleep on Sunday night, the unstructured chaos of the domestic weekend violently collides with the rigid, impending expectations of the corporate week.
It's like hitting a wall.
It really is. Your hypervigilant nervous system, which has been context switching all weekend, suddenly pivots to anticipate unread emails, project deadlines, and Monday morning commutes.
And this anticipatory stress physically paralyzes the brain. Over 30% of sufferers report that this dread actually starts before 5:00 p.m. on Sunday.
It bleeds into the whole afternoon.
Okay, so if the problem is a systemic operational failure, the solution has to be a systemic operational framework. We need strict systems, not life hacks. Let's talk about the operational override. The sources give us 3 hard frameworks to actually save our sanity.
The first, and arguably the most impactful, is the shift commander framework.
Break that down for.
So, as we discussed, the primary driver of burnout is the state of being constantly on call. Your brain never powers down. The shift commander framework eliminates this cognitive load by dividing the weekend into strict 4-hour blocks.
Okay, so how does this actually work on, say, a Saturday morning?
For a designated 4-hour block, let's say Saturday, from 8:00 a.m. to noon, Parent A is the shift commander. They have 100% agency.
Meaning they are totally in charge.
Right. They make all domestic decisions. They handle all discipline. They cook the meals. They execute the chores. They do not consult Parent B for anything.
But realistically, let's say I am Parent B. I'm the off-duty parent. I'm trying to rest in the bedroom, but I hear the toddler screaming in the hallway, or I hear a glass shatter in the kitchen.
Your natural instinct.
Yeah, my nervous system is going to spike immediately. How do I actually stay 100% off-duty when my instinct is to jump up and help?
You have to physically remove the trigger. Parent B must be physically removed from the primary living space or locked in a room with noise-canceling headphones and devices silenced.
Wow. So no checking in at all.
You have zero on-call expectation. You do not answer questions. You do not step in to help. By enforcing this strict physical and auditory boundary, the off-duty parent's prefrontal cortex can finally completely disengage.
And does it actually work?
The studies show that protecting this off-duty period drops burnout scores by 0.31 standard deviations over an 8-week cycle.
What does 0.31 standard deviations actually mean in human terms, though?
In human terms, that is the difference between feeling completely underwater and hopeless versus actually feeling capable and resourced enough to handle Monday morning. It is a massive psychological recovery.
That makes total sense. So the shift commander solves the Saturday exhaustion, but that doesn't fix the Sunday night panic when the corporate week looms. How do we intercept that dread before it starts?
That is where the second framework comes in, the Friday night reset audit.
The Friday reset.
Yeah, this is designed specifically to neutralize the Sunday scaries. It is a strict 10-minute sync on Friday evening, right after the kids go to bed. You sit down with your calendars. No chores are allowed during this 10 minutes.
So strictly planning.
Exactly. You deconflict your weekend schedules, you set explicit boundaries for when you will check work emails over the weekend, and you assign domestic tasks using the CPE model.
Conception, planning, and execution. I love this because it perfectly mirrors workplace project management.
It does.
If you were a project manager at your job, you wouldn't ask a coworker to conceptualize a 50-page presentation, plan all the data points, and then just stand there at their desk waiting to be told what slide to type. You own the project end to end.
But at home, we do this all the time.
Yes. We ask, how can I help with dinner? And asking, how can I help, actually creates more cognitive burden for your partner because now they have to manage you.
It forces them to be the project manager of the kitchen.
Right. If we use the CPE model for Tuesday night dinner, you don't just chop the carrots. You conceive the meal, like deciding if you're having tacos. You plan the execution, meaning checking the pantry, adding salsa to the grocery list, and buying it. And you execute the cooking and the cleanup. You own it end to end.
Splitting tasks without a framework often just splits the physical execution, leaving the entire cognitive load, the conception, and planning on one partner, which, as we know, is usually the mother. The CPE model forces the total transfer of the cognitive weight for that specific task.
Which brings us to the final framework, strategic outsource triaging. Because treating your home like a complex operation means knowing when to outsource.
Right. Dual career couples often try to brute force their way through chores with sheer willpower, which we know fails.
It definitely fails.
So the sources introduced the chore priority score. You calculate this by multiplying the physical labor hours of a task by the mental cognitive load of that task.
So tasks that score the highest, like meal planning and laundry, should be aggressively triaged for outsourcing.
Exactly. And this brings up the Willen's principle from the research. Empirical research demonstrates that couples who buy back time-saving services report significantly higher relationship satisfaction.
Buying time boosts your resilience.
It does. The sources recommend very specific, low-cost automation implementations to buy back your time. For example, the laundry detour.
Oh, tell me about the laundry detour.
Instead of losing your Sunday night to folding clothes, utilize a local wash and fold service that charges by the pound for the heavy items like towels and sheets. Or remove the folding process altogether for kids' clothes and just store them flat in categorized baskets.
So Met Laundry is defeated by simply refusing to fold a toddler's sweatpants. I absolutely love it.
Furthermore, you can shift your grocery and household supply procurement to automated digital subscriptions. If toilet paper, detergent, and dog food just show up on your porch on a rigid schedule, you have entirely removed the mental load of tracking inventory.
You aren't just buying products. You are literally buying back cognitive bandwidth.
Exactly.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's bring this all back to you listening to this. Surviving the dual career parent life is not about having more willpower. It is not a personal failing that you are exhausted.
Not at all.
You are up against hard neurobiological limits, compounding sleep debt, and a societal structure that demands absolutely everything from you. The next time you find yourself sitting in your car in the driveway for 15 minutes, do not feel guilty.
Yeah, let the guilt go.
Recognize that you are experiencing a systemic failure and use that time to prepare to implement a shift commander weekend. You need ruthless operational systems, not a bath bomb.
It really requires a fundamental paradigm shift. We have to move away from viewing the household as a natural, organic environment and start recognizing it as a complex logistical operation that requires active strategic management.
Which leaves me with one final thought, something that really stuck with me after going through all this research for the deep dive.
What's that?
Well, if modern homes are now zero-slack enterprises, requiring corporate-level, military-grade operational frameworks just to survive a Saturday, what happens to the next generation's definition of home? As our kids watch us execute these highly regimented shift work frameworks, will they still view family life as a sanctuary? Or will they learn to see home as just another heavily managed operation?
That is a profound question to walk away with, and one that really shifts the entire perspective on why we need to solve this.
Something to mull over on your next 15-minute driveway decompression. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.